Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well. Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
Call the meeting to order. So it is 5:37. So let's just do a quick roll call, and so then we'll get into it.
Rob Corson, committee member.
Alan Mangan, vice chair.
Tim Willis, alternate.
Mark Layton to the chair. So meeting minutes. Rob, you and I want to join again?
Yep.
I sent out our meeting minutes, which were pretty rough, but I sent those out to the group a few days ago.
Yep.
Any comments on those, or can we just officially approve those as minutes?
I make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes as submitted.
So second?
Second.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, meeting minutes from June 25th are approved.
So should we make Tim a...
Oh, do I have to formally vote on that?
Well, I think we should have to recognize that it's because of the court. Yes, do we...
Don't have anybody here that knows the full. Yeah, I guess recognize that Tim is now going to be, for tonight, a voting member.
Yeah.
So he's...
Even though he objected.
Yeah.
So it has been consistently, I think, every meeting that you've attended, you've been, maybe the first one you were not, maybe you were.
No, I think it was.
Were you that day too? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe soon we'll officially make you a full-time voting member. I know Chris is busy, hasn't been able to show up
This is how you get you.
last
I know.
meetings.
He gets on light tackle and
That's how
then
they get you.
bring you right in.
All right, so Dave is not here tonight, as we can see, so we won't have formal updates on the capital projects. We did just before the meeting saw Melissa Roy in the hallway, and so I think Tim, you heard the update, but Alan, you walked in towards the end, so gave a little bit of an update on the public safety complex.
All good.
And that they're working through, they received an updated estimate with the, I'm not sure where they are in the design process, if it's at the, it's toward the, I don't know if you know, Rob, if are they at the tail end of the design process? I can't remember if it's DD or if it's.
They were doing this at the SD/DD level.
Okay.
So for the pricing, I'm not sure if they, again, we'll find, that's what we'll to find out. Be nice to be able to have us a little bit more included in this. Because if they're still at an SD level and they're estimating is this that far over, I'm hoping that somebody has built into the budget a contingency plan beyond just what Melissa described as far as the carport.
Yeah.
She described one of the things that they're looking at is that there is a carport, and on that carport they have a contingency, which is to put additional solar panels on the carport. Right now that part is not in the budget. There's solar on the building itself, but not on the carport.
I didn't remember seeing the carport on the plans. Was it in the plan?
We haven't seen plans at least I haven't seen a plan in.
Yeah. The last time I saw it was at the start of the year, but there was no, because I went through.
No, I think that they're.
Is this a steel building?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Probably with
The
the.
steel masonry, I think at least, right? It's at least the masonry.
Right, I think that's what they originally had talked about as a.
Yeah, because I mean, everything, in Canada, steel's gone up 25–50%.
Yeah.
We're not gonna be able to supply it down here without a huge markup.
Yeah.
It's not a good time to be doing that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna get any better, to be honest with you, right? So, plus with the labor rates and stuff.
Soldier on.
We offered to Melissa, and I had offered to Chief Poulin last week, our services as a committee, and however we could help with that process of design reviews, value management, whatever support we could. So I've offered it to Chief Poulin, and we offered it to Melissa tonight. I can follow up with her to reinforce that our committee, with the talent that we have, should be able to offer some sort of support on that when they're working through this. So she also mentioned that they're looking at an early start package for the site work to get that going, because there's concern that there may be more ledge than what they know about, or just want to uncover more surprises. But at that point, there's no stopping. So if you start digging, it's hard to stop, especially if they have to go back for more money.
So this is an indicator, right, where they didn't really do any geotechnical.
But they did, right? Remember we talked about that with Dave?
I know that, but I don't think that they did a formal geotech. I think they did an informal geotech. They had somebody come in and move some stuff around, but I don't think that they actually had somebody come in and do test borings.
Test pits, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't imagine the designer would do anything without a geotech report. They need to design the pier, loads, and everything else, right?
Some foundations at least, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, it
should have something.
Unless somebody basically said you were going to assume that the bearing pressure is X, Y, Z, and you're going to do it based upon a basis of design versus an actual, with the idea that maybe they were going to do borings later on. I have no idea. And I think that's why.
I mean, to your point, I mean, they would have at least dug down to footing depth to find out what the soil conditions are. So it's not that big of a building.
Plus a local guy would know what's out there, basically.
Well, they've owned the property for.
Yeah, there's a lot of other buildings that are all, directly adjacent to that. So I don't know whether somebody, some other geotech did some work down there and they said, hey, by the way, we did some boring on site XYZ and we got, this for our bearing pressure, but.
And they don't have to make those documents public, right? So I just did a quick search on their website. They wouldn't have to, if they did a geotech, they wouldn't have to put it on the website, right?
It's all public information.
So we'd have to request it though, probably.
Yeah.
It's not like they post it where we can just find it on the website.
Correct. I don't think that is.
Yeah, unlike they would, like, if they did reports, they would probably post it.
Yeah, and I understand about the budget is not publishing that until it's finalized. To me, it's a lot of it's the information. It's risk aversion. I mean, that's what part of what we can offer, obviously, is to try to mitigate any risk as they go forward, so that you don't have something happens in the middle of the project, and the idea that if you don't know what the site is, kind of tells us where we are. Maybe tells us a little bit about where we are with the design, right?
Yeah.
Usually when I've seen, early release of packages, it's to advance the project more than to kind of investigate.
Yes.
Like get the ground in before winter and shit like that.
I think that would be consistent with all our experiences.
Yeah. So.
Do we have any? I'm sorry. Do we have anything to do with that, or are we just talking about it?
Public safety complex?
Yeah.
Well, we provided support from the beginning way back at the beginning, when they first started this process, and they did evaluation of the existing public safety complex, and then how it has gone into this, and so how long has it been going on? 2 years now?
2 years.
Yeah. So we've been involved, provided guidance on the process. We helped lead, or at least we provided some advice on hiring the designer or the architect, hiring the owner's rep, a CM. So we've worked with them on that, and which we were, I would say, successful on leading into that, because they've hired all of those parties now as partners. But then once they started design, we haven't been involved.
No, and I think the OPM
picks it up from there.
Yeah, and it would be great to, from just an idea about how the OPM is actually performing, right? Because if you look at where we are today, the fact is we're over budget, had to do a significant amount of cuts. This is one of those things where you really do have to sit there and say, all right, how are you, just an evaluation of performance.
Yeah. So so I guess that's where we haven't been. We've been getting updates from Dave as the process has gone. But we did ask, before you got involved, Tim, I think it was right before, we asked about doing a design review of the documents. And there was concern, Dave shared a concern that others had about security, about us reviewing and seeing the plans for the I guess more for the.
As long as we don't have any responsibility or oversight of the project, that's fine. But if it's in any way under our auspices, we should have full involvement.
Yeah, I think they're just more as far as us as being residents and seeing the layout of the.
We're going to see it at the open house, aren't we?
I guess we could, or at least parts of it.
I mean, how many times have we toured the things?
I know. We're all professionals, but whatever. I guess that was what was shared.
Yeah.
And so we just said, we're here. We want to be able to support it. I think Dave was going to go back and check again. I think he was relaying the concern from the police, from the chief. But again, we didn't. There's certain things that we could look at. Mechanical, electrical systems, right? We could look at that. We could look at wall details.
Everything else.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I think they were also concerned that fundamentally that they already knew that there was a budget issue, and they knew they had to go back to do a little bit of redesign.
Yeah.
They've changed it a few times, even like David said, they changed, the original design was really expensive, and they cut back on the glass and all that stuff as well.
Yes.
Which is good.
But that's that's part of how you build a project. The issue is that, instead of do you start with the base plus 25%, or do you start with a base and you have what I'll call your hey, by the way, if we could afford X, and then you prioritize those items, right, as a shopping list of items that you could or couldn't afford, as opposed to starting out with, that's one of the things that was brought up when we came back. Oh, and they had this and they had that. Like, well, you meet your base.
Yeah, shooting range, gym. donut shop.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
I mean, I think it is hard though, because I'm going off memory, but when the project was developed and we were part of that, right? And they had, they developed the program, they developed a concept and a budget, and then it was added to do the net zero component. And I don't feel like that, I don't believe that they updated the budget to include that approach. And I remember Dave at the time, this is now over a year ago, right? When did it get approved by Warren? Was it last year or this year? 2020?
This year.
This year, just in March, right?
Right, because that's why they want to accelerate the.
Right. And that's, I think the guidance that Dave was getting from the OPM or from the architect, they felt like there was enough, they had enough in their budget to be able to do that. And obviously that's not the case anymore. So, but I've been there as far as you think you have enough contingency, and
Yeah.
it gets eaten up pretty quick though when you have tariffs, you have other things outside of that you just didn't imagine at the
How
time.
do you control,
Yeah.
COVID or
Oh,
something?
and to me, you have to control it through budget. And I
Yeah.
think that's where I think a lot of people, you get construction contingency and then you have owner contingency. And the reality is I don't think there was any owner contingency that was built into the budget to sit there and say, hey, by the way, if in fact the budget goes up,
Yeah.
there isn't anything.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, that's a hard one. So it's that where we weren't a part of those or involved in those discussions either with their project team, whatever they're calling it. So.
No, but if the word's out that we've offered some that we can help if anybody needs our help, that's.
Yeah.
I suppose if we were involved, it would greatly increase our workload.
It could, though. I mean, if we take, to me, it's we take this time, right? Or if we ask for volunteers that want to come in outside of this meeting period,
Well, they have their own, obviously project meeting. The reality is we could sit there and say if it was somebody who was a representative that sat in on a meeting,
Right.
I mean, there's definitely different ways of not having huge workload, but.
and I think the town is Russ was definitely involved, and Dave Sharples was definitely involved. So two of those players, I think, are Russ is transitioning out. Dave is out of the office. So I don't know who's actually taking it.
Yeah.
I guess the OPM is probably stepping up
Yeah,
more.
I think that would make sense.
Yeah. So, but
Yeah, I just kind of envision this as, taking the projects from the beginning to the end, funneling everything through this board onto the selectmen, but it seems like we do the nascent development and then they take it from there and we're kind of cut out. I mean, does it go to town meeting approved by us?
so we're advisory,
Yeah.
right? So we're here to advise them and provide recommendations and really that. And so there's nothing that really has to come through us, but other than we try to insert ourselves to either support or provide guidance about how that process. So, right, Rob? I mean,
Yeah, there is language. There is language that typically goes with the warrant that would say that the Facilities Advisory Committee recommends this project. So there's
I get it.
so things like that, but we don't have any.
It doesn't have to come through us.
No.
I think we've been trying to work with them I'd say we've focused a lot on the process side to try to say, hey, you should have an OPM involved in this, right? And to give them and then try to help with our whatever experience that we've had about, have you thought about this? Look at this. But even on the Parks and Rec building, we haven't seen anything from that design build approach. Saw the nice update on Parks and Rec, not Parks and Rec, but the Exeter TV did a nice little update on that. So
I saw them working feverishly out there the other day.
I'm sorry to lead us astray.
No, these are good questions.
These are all good questions. We've been, I think, as a committee, at least, that trying to advise the town that they do need representation from a project management side of things, and so that's why the OPM was like the intermediate. It's not a staff person, but it's somebody at least has an oversight who's making sure that the CM and that the architects and the other people are, performing their job. And
and so one of the things, just to piggyback on that, one of the other things, Tim, as far as history, is that we've been also, as part of this process, is pushing really hard is to not have the department, the major stakeholder, be the one that's managing this process, right? So an example would be is on this public safety complex is obviously the police need to be involved, but not be managing that day to day, because there's history here with. What's that?
They won't let us see the plans.
Well, but it's that scope creep, right? So that department's like, well, yeah, I'd love to have that. I want that and that. And so when we first joined as a committee, there was a very large project. Well, it was a project that Parks and Rec had wanted to do, and it grew from $5 or $6 million project to whatever it was
to 20.
to that where, and nothing against them. It was basically it started with a straightforward, this is what we'd like to do, to then it grew to like, oh, these are all must-haves now, and it didn't pass the warrant articles. The town's like, it's too much money, we're not supporting it, and so it died. And so there was all this work that happened to have this design done. It was taking the property over by the Planet Playground, by the pool, and building a lot of athletic fields, which was the primary start, and then it grew into building a recreation center, an indoor track, and all this other stuff. But it didn't pass, and so that's what we kind of used that and said, this is where it'd be really good to have an independent entity to lead the programming, design, and construction. Which most institutions do it that way, right? You have a department that manages that and takes feet.
And maybe sometimes starting on the back end is really thinking about budget. What's an achievable budget standpoint?
Right.
As saying, hey, the town, based upon the usage and everything else, this is a $10 million project. We think this is an appropriate amount to spend on this. Let's work towards that budget, right?
Yeah, somebody that is outside of the primary stakeholders say, well, sorry, we're going to have to make cuts. And what are those cuts to meet that budget?
Even this project, I think they started out really with a fairly, with programming and everything else, a budget. And so that budget, they're trying to really stick to it, which is the $17 million budget. And I think that's
the public safety complex. That's what it was, $17 million.
Yeah.
So, no, it's all good. I mean, it's just we've been trying to. Well, we're advisory, so we don't have an authority other than hey, we're here. Let's we'll do this for you or work with you on that. So, and it's been well received on most things. I think then it gets to a point where they just go for it.
Yeah.
So.
There are things that we have not. We thought we didn't advise the town to go forward with. So, and some of those things I think have been heated as far as there was for the DPW, they were going to do basically build a big, huge. A garage / maintenance building that was 40,000 square feet. Trucks indoors, and
it was a siloed approach, right? So at that time, and through the CIP process, they have one now there's a structural assessment on that it needs to be replaced. There's no doubt. It's a pre-engineered building from the 60s or 70s, right? It's lived its life, and so that was a driver. But then it grew from, I don't know what it was, so many square feet to this pretty good sized building. And so then we started asking questions about, well, what about the rest of your campus? What about the rest of the DPW campus? What about these buildings and those buildings? And so we were successful on that. That would have them look at it more holistically.
Exactly. So
not just look at this one building, but what about all of your buildings? What about the administrative building? Then there was the fuel farm that they had.
The island needs to be changed to fuel island.
Right. They had a bunch of little tiny projects that are all like, think about this as a holistic, but also think about it is that what are are there any duplications of services or things like that happen
Yeah.
within the community? Is there an opportunity, not that there is, but, look at an opportunity for sharing those resources? Because I know they do, because up there, they have stuff from pretty much every department sits up at the...
Yeah.
Which they should. I mean, I think that's where, so it grew into this as far as so DPW, don't just look at this one building, look at your entire campus, to the town, looking at all your departments, right? And can the Parks and Rec used to store some equipment over there, can they utilize some of the space that's down to DPW, all these different things, right? And so administrative space, right? So DPW is bulging at the seams, but so if we're going to do, if they want a new building, well then should that new building have more than just DPW, right? Think of all these other places, and then so you're not just doing one for them and then one over here, to one for everybody. So that's kind of what I think where we are now, which has helped us as far as this larger assessment of a space needs, right? And then looking at what they own for assets and how best to use those assets, right? So looking at this building, the town hall, the old Parks and Rec building, DPW, and looking at all these things and what is the most efficient use of these? Does it make sense to keep it? Because it would cost too much to convert it, right? So then, all right, let's just get rid of that and then focus on how to solve for it. So anyways, can we talk about we had a draft outline for the RFP, for space needs assessment. Are you connected to that, Rob?
I am not.
Oh, because our agenda was up there. I don't know if that was you or if that was the Exeter TV. They must have had an Exeter TV that put up there.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I just don't know if you automatically connected. I know we had to. Did I connect last week?
Did we? Oh yeah, you connected virtual.
By the cable, right?
Yeah.
Cable.
Oh, that's not it. I don't see it. Where is it? Yes. Maybe it's easy we put it up there as well, Sarah.
Is that a 6.3 or something? What do you got there?
What?
That's
On the cable? I know.
6.3.
Yeah.
Looks like a cable for a range.
Yeah.
There's a lot of information that's
There you go.
Instead of a Cat 6, it's like a Cat 40 or something.
Yeah, you
like
couldn't
that.
be chewing through that one.
That ain't gonna slow down.
Yeah, you wouldn't get through it.
There we go. All right.
success.
Yep. Okay. All right. I can't see it, but I can see it on the computer. So this was shared, and I know Don Brizzleton sent out, I think, a link to an RFP for another town.
Yep.
I did not look at it. I don't know if anybody else did.
I looked at it briefly.
Yeah.
What did you think of it, Alan?
Yeah, it was similar to, well, it was somewhere close by. It was Concord, I believe.
Okay.
And it was a City Hall campus needs assessment, same thing.
Okay.
Yeah. I just briefly looked at it last night and today. Yeah, a lot of information on it.
So we're missing a good chunk of our team here, but so is there anything that's, we can go through this, and I think the idea from last meeting was that we would continue just to do this and really just share this outline to Dave Sharples, who would take this and draft the RFP. I don't know if there's anything that we want to take the Concord one.
It was nice. Like, it has all set up exactly like we would need it with all the locations and everything on this. So
Okay.
It's the same as what we would do, I imagine.
So we had just started with a purpose statement, which we had worked through last meeting, and maybe there's what we can maybe grab from what they did on theirs and
Yeah.
update it. We had the documents provided by the town. So we had constraints, and these are questions that we probably should dive into. So what should we provide to the consultant that would be considered hands-off? Example, buildings not allowed to be demolished. So are there any ground rules that we want to include here?
That's what they did here on this document. About the consultant, to assist the selected consultant. It's all written down here about like different floor plans that they have to provide and what not to do. It's on here too, so it's
All right.
super convenient.
Did you get that one yesterday?
I got it from Don
Yes.
yesterday. He replied and said he couldn't make it, but then he attached his
I
document.
didn't look at it.
At least on my thing, it's this OCR
Yeah,
document.
it's page 10 about the
Basically,
consultant.
it's a PDF.
Yeah. They were having a problem because they don't have enough, they don't have sufficient size meeting spaces. Stuff like that, so it's all in it. There's a lot of information.
So I think they, obviously the project overview, that's really where they have their, that's what you're talking about, is that the upfront stuff is really what I'll call a boilerplate of the submission. And then the second part of it really is what they're asking to do.
Yeah.
So is there stuff, I mean, do we want, what do we want to do next? Do we want to, want to go through that now, or do we want to ask for volunteers to dive into that?
Well, yeah, I think so one of the things I think our goal is that we need to get a kind of a budgetary number, right? That's the intent, is some number to for a placeholder during the CIP process. That's one of our
we
one of our objectives, right?
Yeah, right.
So I think that's probably one of the things we want to. And then the question would be, when would we need to have a draft RFP? Right?
Yeah. I thought it said fairly early. June, July is,
Well,
I have done, I think that was like our second meeting.
so from a technical standpoint, they probably need a real number, right, for the actual warrant.
I can't remember the timeline. We did talk about it, but I don't remember the timelines. I thought we had, it's really when it goes to the planning board, right?
Yeah, so what ends up happening is he's probably, I'm not sure if he put it on there or not, he's just gonna put a title on it with a kind of a number, and then that would be typically what generates first is you would have if it's a $50,000 budget number, put $50,000 for, and then kind of like what this is that the scope of work, right? What are we asking for?
Yeah.
So I think this is what we should focus on is what the number is, and then what are we asking the town so that we can actually build the information for the warrant, or for the ask to budget committee and everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like actually, it looks like ours is pretty close to that. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I
It's
Pretty close to it.
Yeah, I mean,
I think
that's,
this is
yeah. So we were just spitballing, putting stuff together, and we're at least consistent with what they did. So
yeah. So I think this to me is a good indicator of what we need to sit there and say. Here's what the group is asking for. This is the scope of services. What's the deliverable? This is what we think the value is.
yeah.
And the next part, like you said, is to pull some people together to start.
Well, we're here, so July. So I
Yeah.
guess we probably should put stuff. I know this. So what we were talking about is that. So next steps.
Right.
We develop I remember Dave calling like a really brief narrative,
Yeah.
a brief. And budget
Yep,
budget for the CIP, right?
right.
For CIP documents. So, I mean, I think we have that,
Yeah,
right? And review RFP from Concord.
yep.
Is it Concord, Mass, or Concord, New Hampshire?
Hampshire, right?
Concord, New Hampshire, and it was just this year.
From Concord, New Hampshire. Right?
Yeah, April 2nd.
Right. Okay.
And did they call this,
So-
is this an RFP or is this a?
RFP,
They called it an OCI, which
yeah.
Is that
The document itself.
something, request something?
All right, so it is an RFP, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
good. It's a request for proposal, so they're actually, and
We could probably find out.
the beginning of it's quals, right?
So, yeah, so that's good. I mean, I'm sure Dave has their template that they could use.
Yep.
So we're filling in those gaps, right? Like, they have the scope of services and stuff like that, so.
Is somebody really good at copy paste?
Well, Dave is too, right? Or whoever's gonna do this.
Yeah,
or
copy
stuff, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think most of the stuff is what. And I think like what Don was saying last time was that are we asking them for any of their input on what it would take to do with this versus like this one says, like schedule, right?
We had, one of the questions that we had
180
was,
days after the contract.
so the scope of services that we've drafted was review the town-owned assets,
Yeah.
utilize the approved Keegan study to develop a space needs assessment for each department, and engage with the executive team, department leadership to understand relationships between departments, and then develop recommendations to maximize collaboration, efficiency, and sharing of resources.
Yeah.
I'm going to separate that just so we have that. Recommendations, then we had a question about how many work sessions we can let this be set up. Then the next scope was develop conceptual options, maximizing use of current town-owned assets, utilizing the approved Keegan study. I think we should add, and information gathered from department. The executive and department leadership, from town leadership.
So you have, I would say that the additional request for meetings would be meeting with the executive team, right?
Yeah.
For executive summaries of where they were with the project versus they could manage the
Same.
meeting with departments.
Yeah, so the way we were, I think, doing this from almost through the schedule, right? So they'll get the Keegan study, they'll take that and they'll start to develop like what each department needs based on that study, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to engage with the executive team, department leadership to understand relationships. So they'll, who needs to be next to who, right? So then they'll have that information. And they're going to take that and we want them to develop recommendations to maximize collaboration, efficiency, and sharing of resources. So then they can start to say, okay, well then, where will these people go with the buildings that they have? Can start to think about that, right?
Yep.
Then on that, then they're going to develop conceptual options, maximizing the use of the current town-owned assets, utilizing the Keegan study and information gathered from town leadership, department meetings, and I would say best practices.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's a good bit.
Because they should be bringing to the table about what, not just what we want, but what makes sense.
What is another 16,000
Yeah,
resident community do?
yeah.
And
Oh, that would be, maybe we want to add a statement about, well, making sure they do that they should provide independent,
Benchmarking for, I mean, that's a lot of our stuff is always benchmarked against
using,
other facilities or other areas. It's not, you're not just going back to the same thing. If your department head just says, I need a pony. And you say, okay, well, how many other department heads have ponies?
using,
They're all at pony.
independent.
Well, Concord's a bigger city, but it seems like they have a purchasing department. Do we have one?
We have yes, we have from
Purchasing
an
agent?
accounting standpoint.
No, there's somebody that could take our outline here, which I think is pretty comprehensive.
How do I say this? Independent from their perspective, not, so they'll take the town feedback, but how do we say that we want them to provide their information? So I just said in sharing resources.
I think the first term you used, which is the
best practice.
best practices. I mean,
So I did say using published best practices.
yeah, I think
Okay. I'm just trying to see like from their perspective, right?
Yeah.
So like an independent, keep going back to independent. Independent, that's not spelled right, perspective. Well, maybe I used to using, this is from published. I don't know if that makes sense, but so develop recommendations to maximize collaboration, efficiency, and sharing resources using independent perspective from published. We can wordsmith that. Just trying to, so that it's not just what the town wants, it's somebody else outside of the town, providing guidance, questioning, pushing
yeah.
the town, right? Because you don't want the town just to keep driving, well, we need to have these people in this building and all this other stuff, like have somebody that's pushing that feedback.
Yeah, they should be advising back to the community of saying, this is what we're experiencing in other communities of your size.
Right, oh yeah, from the impression of published practices, similar.
If there's anything in here.
Similar municipalities. Professional experience, I don't know.
I mean, it's interesting that they already have, like, they've already got some preconceived notions or preconceived things. Like the city is currently in the process of relocating the police headquarters in 35 Green Street and to a site located elsewhere in the city. The project is currently in the design phase with construction proposed 26-27. The move date anticipated for the fall of 27. This building will be available for expansion of municipal office and meeting spaces in early 2028. Although the police department will be relocated, this study shall include the considerations for a satellite park. They've got some pretty specific. 2020, the plan for the library for the background was prepared by Odenzello Architects, calling for demolition 1960 edition. The proposal will be impact farm. Currently, they're really providing a lot of the early investigative information. Strongly desires to relocate the Human Services Department from its current location. A portion of the Green Street Community Center currently dedicated for the recreation. There's insufficient on-site storage space, customer-focused apartments. So it's interesting.
That's pretty good. There's a lot of ground rules right there.
Yeah,
Even went down to like
city
photocopy
auditorium
machines,
Yep.
facilities, bathrooms, kitchen. They went down to everything on these tasks. Task number 3, space program. It's like very broken down.
Yeah. So what are they asking here? Let's go back to what's the. They're calling it a. community to prepare for this. And it's okay. It's campus hall, city hall campus needs assessment and space planning study. Well, from what I read before, it looks like the study's already been done. And they're going to be taking puzzle pieces. Yeah, so identify trends in city staffing levels, as well as immediate, intermediate, and long-term needs departments operating out of the municipal scale.
Yeah. It kind of goes back to my question about budget.
Yeah.
What do we got, how much can we spend?
Yeah, well, I think that's on us to come up with a recommendation, right, what we think it's going to be. So we could actually find out what Concord spent on theirs.
Yeah, that's a pretty exhaustive study. We're kind of looking in generalization, maybe some Venn diagrams of department overlaps, so we know who can go in what building together and shit like that.
Yeah, I was just thinking we could find, if we knew, I don't know what the data that is, but if we knew what Concord spent.
April 2nd this year.
Oh, this year?
Yeah.
So we can at least know what that scope costs, right? And we can say, well, ours is different, but we can be helpful to just understand what ballpark that they're in.
Yeah. I'd say they're probably in $300,000-$400,000 range.
Yeah, we're going to be way less than that. So
I would think so. I was thinking 50, 75, you know.
I think that's what we need to be in, right, in order to be successful, because otherwise people are going to say,
I mean, we don't want to throw money away.
no.
I mean, but it's going to be very preliminary.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the work will be it's all labor, but it's really just, it's going to be trying to wrangle in.
It's going to be a bunch of fluff, you know. They're just going to say, this and this. And
Well, I hope not.
as long as they give us a place to hang our hat.
Well, part of what I would want out of this is that it's not fluff. It's pushing each department and the town to come up and say, and I think this is where I would want our committee to be involved is also to help with that. The idea of this is not just to stay status quo, right? I mean, the idea is just to really push the envelope to say, what are you going to do with this building, and so, or the town hall. And so the town hall, what is the purpose of that building, and what do you validate what you'd like to do there? But also, we're going to have an empty building, right on the block here, right? So before people claim that and start to put in offices, let's think about who really should be there. And so I hope that's what we got.
Yeah, I think that's the level, is that it would be that the advice that they're giving us and the information they're giving us is directional, and saying things like, here's 3 properties that that could be utilized better or not utilized.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, that's what I go to, is that if we look at this and they're like, that building, the old Parks and Rec, it's going to be really expensive to do anything with it, and it's not efficient for the town to do that, right? So instead of trying to make it work, then let's maybe out of this would say, this is just an example. Get rid of that, sell it, do whatever, put your energy into this area. And that's, you know what I mean? So, or they may say, yeah, that's a good fit for these departments. You should do it, and then that frees up this space for something else. But to me, it's having an independent review at a high level that doesn't have anything to gain out of this, that can look at this and say, here's how you could put these pieces together at the most cost-effective way long term. Not just like, well, we're going to solve for it because we need another office. Let's think about this long term. So I mean, that's what I'm hoping we get out of it.
Would you think a consultant would come up with a questionnaire for department heads, or should we be running that before they get here? Should town leadership be getting to the departments and heads and saying, look, we're going to look at space utilization. I think we need you guys to start looking at, what your future projections are going to be.
I think that's the Keegan study. I think. I mean, I don't know.
Is that already done?
That's part of it. I also think that I would say that you'd also want your consultants should have their checklist, right? To sit there and say, the information we need is how many employees, full-time, how many part-time, what are your storage needs, what are your requirements from the RSA requirements for keeping things around. My expectation is they should be able to drive that. So like for me, when I was in healthcare design, we had a checklist. And it was a checklist, and we'd go through with the client and say, hey, what do you have for XYZ? What do you do here? And how many, So
Because you know the minimum requirements, right? But you also know like what in healthcare, what the law would say.
Yeah, your regulatory requirements, you have your, but you would have a list of things you would be going through to say to everybody, here's what we need to look at.
So at some point, we gotta introduce this, besides getting this out, we gotta introduce this to department heads through the selectmen, right? That, because they're saying, I'm busy, I don't have time to do this, blah, 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 it's not my job.
It's got to come from the top exactly and say this is a priority of you. And I think part of it is that if you have a department that is struggling, they don't have enough space, at least they don't think they are, or whatever it is, that they can see this as an ability to get what they need, right? Not what they want, what they need. And I think that's what would be important is that I think the Keegan study was more about the organization, but also staffing. So they looked at for example, finance department, and probably looked at it and said, based on RSA needs and all this other stuff in the town of your size, you should be in this category of your finance department, and probably talked about the layers, right? The director, whatever, all the different things. This is my guess. But then based on that, then you can start, the consulting would dive in to say, all right, well, this is the size of the department that is recommended. Now you have who needs an office, who can work in a workstation, what do you need for storage, what do you need for secure storage.
Yeah.
That's what I would see out of this, is that they're starting to talk about that. So like now they can say, okay, well, the finance needs 2,000 square feet.
An example is in this particular building, because this is a hospital town, you have right behind that door is records, birth records.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So and they're documents that have a very specific requirements, heat pay attention, preservation requirements, things like that.
Obama's back there?
Yeah. So,
Sorry, couldn't resist.
Certificates,
that's
where all the world leaders are in there.
When you start talking about things like that, then you have to sit there and say, okay, well, how do you manage those things, and are you doing it?
And that's all important because those are the things that start to get the lead, like, well, all right, you have a department of 4 and you need this, but then it comes up like, well, we do need to have secure storage. It's required by the state of New Hampshire, so that's where what happens is these things like, oh shit, all right, take that, build a wall in that corner and put a lock on it. That's how it ends up, and then all of a sudden you think you have enough space and you don't, and you have people that are sharing a workstation because they had to have all that stuff. So
the other thing go ahead.
Retention, like a little thing like putting the wall up, and then they just realize that they don't have any ear.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Which just happened. I just took on a job.
Or then you get into the life safety, right? Then now now we got to add a smoke detector, and that's
you do, and then they have no heat, no cooling, and you have a huge problem. And you end up
Sprinkler.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that we've all been there. So
it escalates.
Yeah.
Every move.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what I'm hoping out of it, is that we get it's almost like a clean slate approach, right? And then you start to try to fit the puzzles.
Do you think we've kind of captured it?
I think so.
I think this is pretty. I think this document's.
I think the next step, what we were talking about, is that it would be good if we can
budget.
Yeah.
250.
250. We're pretty close. Yeah. So
that's it, Dutchins.
Yeah.
They did it. It's just right now they're approving it actually, I think.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So we need to be a lot less than that. We need under 100,000. I think, in my opinion.
That's really good.
Yeah, and it's going to be pretty rudimentary. It's just going to be I think what I would almost expect to see for that kind of money is a list of buildings, a list of apartments, and they're going to just draw lines.
I think that's part of it, but
but they'll have a package, and it'll give us a basis.
Yeah, I don't think it's. I mean, it's there's work, but because we're not talking about Concord. This is a small town.
Yeah.
There's small departments, not many buildings, and And so, yeah, I think it still comes out to hours, right? And you're paying somebody, a consultant to do it, so their hour rate is up there. But so it quickly gets up there. But I think it's not a huge lift. I think somebody knowing what they're doing, right, Rob? I mean, this is something kind of, I won't say cookie cutter, but it's pretty standard for them to come in and say, okay, yeah, bang, 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 you're going to need this. And they look at the buildings and they can probably come in and say, well, if you do this, if you do this work, then it makes sense for this department. I mean, I don't think it's that, because we're not talking about 20 buildings, we're talking about 6 or something.
Yeah, and I think the reality is that you're talking about you talk about from a department standpoint, there are not that many departments.
Yeah.
Right?
So do you want to include a list of the different buildings we're thinking about as a appendix? Or
Yeah, and we do.
You can just throw it in and.
So we do need to do that. So I think, like we, documents provided by the town and the outline is list of buildings included.
Okay.
So it needs to be, I don't think we're finished because we wrote these down, but yeah, we need.
That the selectmen would provide, wouldn't they?
Yeah, well, I think part of this,
We have a list of all the buildings, but I think part of this would be probably from an inside standpoint is prioritization, right?
Yeah.
So that's something for us when we're looking at, or anybody looking at this and saying, hey, by the way, the proposals came in, they came on board, and then our budget, it's kind of what we do with the FCA,
Drop some buildings.
could we sit there and, if we were to focus on these 5, where would we be?
Yeah. Something going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just did this we did it internally, and it was quite a challenge, but we did it. And there was 15 buildings, a lot of people, and merging 2 different companies.
Yep.
It worked out, but we just did it. It took time. It was the best way to what departments work well together and who needs to be where. We move everyone around from different towns and everything, and buildings, and we freed up a lot of buildings. So, very efficient.
Should you do that in Massachusetts or up here?
Both. We have places up here and down.
Just curious, do you have a list of the consultants you used, or was it an architect?
It was.
Is this?
We did it internally ourselves.
Oh.
Yeah, in the company. Yeah, it's like,
okay. I was going to say, it seems like a specialized group.
We just planned it out, looked at the plans of every building we had, and we just said there's many people, and we were also redoing the building, so.
Yeah. I don't know if we have time to do that.
It's intensive.
I also think that it's also how they mine information from the organization. So it's like how many people are in your department and all these other things should be relatively quick and easy.
I think that's the Keaton study, right? That should have, if that's what we think it is, they should have started with that.
Here's all of our departments.
Yeah.
Here's the people that are currently in those departments. Here's any open positions that are in those departments. So I mean, to me, it's like, okay, if you're set it up correctly, it shouldn't be that almost like what you were doing. You sit there and said, okay, well, I have here's finance. They're in 14 different locations, and I want to be able to sit there and say, well, 14 locations, and I want to sit there. I can take these 4 here, and I can group them together in one location. I can take those and group them.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting. I don't know if like for the town, if to me, I would guess that they would start with, ideally, we're all together under one roof, right? I mean, I think that's what they would want to do. Instead of having finance across the street, they would be here. That would be a lot more efficient if they're here. Now, that's pretty straightforward to say, well, the only way you're going to be able to accomplish that is if you have a new building. And so, I mean, but is that an option? Does the town say, let's go after a new building, but we get rid of this building, we get rid of that building, and, then where would you put the new building, right? So, I mean, but to me, that's the brainstorming session that the consultants should be driving to say, okay, so then that's not feasible. So we've studied it, take it off the table, right? Check the box, it's done, we can't do it, and then move on to the next one. Okay, so what does that mean? So that's where I would hope that all this gets talked about. And so, but
I think hotel spaces kind of changed our business because we had hotel spaces where you just come in and hook yourself in. With monitors all set up so you can work anywhere with IP address, VPN and stuff like that. Changed everything everyone does it now. And also the big thing when we were changing, people were literally moving from one town to the next, parking. The parking situation always comes up every once in a while. Yeah. How close am I going to be to the building? I'm not going to go there if I can't park my car. So everything comes into it.
Well, that's interesting too, is that I don't know if the town allows remote work. I don't know if they do that.
Yeah.
If there's remote work employees.
Yeah.
But that would be another question. I mean, is that a possibility? Could someone in finance work remote and not have to be here? Because, right, that's what we're working with. We're at the academy. We're working on that right now. Is that we allow that, but we don't take advantage of that.
Yeah.
So someone works remote for 2 days a week, but 3 days a week they're on campus and they get their same desk that it's empty now when they're not. But it's, so you know what I mean. So it doesn't add any value to us because we can't take advantage of them. But so that would be a question that consultants should be asking.
Yeah.
What's your policy about remote workforce? Do you allow it? I don't know if they do or not. They should.
Yeah.
Who knows? That'd be a good question. I don't think there's, if you think about the total number of town employees,
Yeah.
probably not that.
No, but maybe if they offered it.
No, I just,
You know what I mean? Like HR director or whatever.
Yeah.
Does that person need to be here?
well, and again, that used to be a part-time
Yeah.
contracted position.
Yeah. And I'm not. I mean, where I know we're
No,
being
but-
broadcast. I'm not picking up positions, but
Yeah.
so and maybe that is in the Keegan study too. But to me, it's we're all as far as working in this field is that these are the things that you probably advanced on this that you want to take advantage of that. So when somebody comes to the building, you have the hoteling stations.
Yeah, loads of them every day.
Yeah, but if they have to have a private conversation, you have a place where they can do that,
Yeah.
right?
Little conference rooms,
Yeah.
all inside, so you can go and have your conference room. You can book them, obviously
Yeah.
book it like everyone does on a meeting. But the hotel spaces are fantastic. I mean,
Yeah,
people will just let me know. It's not really my thing, but I'll tell them like where it's available because you know who's going to be there on certain days, kind of usually. And then they can go anywhere. I mean, I go to all the buildings. I book in
yeah,
by VPN. I'm at home working all the time as well. But the hotel spaces are great because we have it all set up. Like you have your monitors and all. You just go and plug in.
Right.
Everything's good.
right. So maybe who knows how they've addressed that, but that would be, I would hope, a question that would come up out of this, like, what is that? And it may not be, it's consistent, like, but maybe it's seasonal,
Yeah.
right? So, the summertime, they have to be more present than not.
Yeah.
Wintertime, they can be more remote, so I don't know. Or
It
it's
frees
around
up
meetings,
space,
right?
yeah. It's all about space and freeing up and parking and everything else frees
Yeah.
up because if you're not going to work, 3 days a week, whenever you have to eliminate that. It's awesome.
Yeah, as long as you manage when 5 people who are hoteling all show up at the same time.
Yeah,
That's always good, yeah.
I've had that problem.
Yeah. All right, so can we talk about, we have a good outline, we have a good example with the Concord's RFP. Does anyone want to take on just to take a look at the Concord one and just take notes to see if there's pieces of that we should incorporate? Does anyone want to take that on?
Well, let's go to the outline, right?
I can take on developing a brief narrative. I think that's really just a couple sentences. It doesn't have to be one person. I mean, I know I'd like to do it. I'd like to read it too. If someone else can just take it.
Well, I think what would be a good one is if you look through the scope of services piece, this is where I think we had some discussion on it last time of what is the scope of service? What are we expecting as a deliverable at the end of this? And
Yeah, that's
whether
the
it's
question.
plans or not plans, is it, like you said, is it it's a Venn diagram or is it, what are we,
Yeah. We do have a section on deliverables, and we talked about that, executive summary space plan. All right, why don't we do this? So I would say, I guess I'll ask all of us to take a look at the RFP from Concord, and then we just take notes.
Yeah.
And if you want to share in advance, that's great. I can draft a CIP thing, 'cause I think that's the highest priority. And then, but I think we're really close with finalizing the outline. I think we're probably over 90% done. It'd just be helpful if there's something in there that like, oh yeah, that's a good piece to add here.
Yeah, I'll reach out to a couple people to see about where, from a budget standpoint, where we might see an assessment like this.
Okay.
Just
All right, so our committee members will review Concord. All right, so our goal is to finalize the outline for next meeting. Just gonna finalize the outline. Let's see. And approve CIP. Kind of. Okay. And you said, Robbie, you're going to.
I'm going to reach out to a few people to see where this might fall from a budget standpoint.
Okay. Very cool. All right, so our next step is develop a brief narrative and budget CIP documents. I'll take that on. We're going to review the RFP and incorporate into our line. The committee members will review and take notes.
So that department study is finished, right? Is it
Yes.
Keegan?
Keegan.
Keegan?
Yeah, I don't know if it's available online.
I know I've heard people talking about it.
Well, if you're looking at, like just a $300 consultant, that's 150 hours for 45 grand.
For 45,000.
Yeah.
I think it was quick. Hopefully it's not $300, but they employ on average.
Yeah, but I mean, 150 hours might be enough time for me to just. Right, you gotta figure it's double what he gets in the envelope. So I'm thinking 300.
Yeah, on average, you're probably more like.
If it's 500, then we don't.
No, I'm saying no. On average, you're probably about 200.
Yeah.
Principals about 300 and 3 to 350. Project managers are somewhere in the 275 range.
They'll put some.
Then you got
younger staff.
Your younger staff is like $150. So when I was, this is probably, I would probably look at like a 225, combined.
Yeah, overhead.
Yeah, I'm saying combined as if you took your high and low. So if you got someone at 350 and someone at 150.
Yeah.
So you got a 225.
The 350 is going to be spending 20 hours on this, and 150 is going to be spending 100 hours.
Yeah.
On this.
So I mean, somebody who you want. This is something I always tell somebody. It's like if your principal is doing data entry, you need to do something different.
Yeah. He's in the doghouse or something, right? He's not supposed to be doing that.
I just started out to think in terms of work production, so it would be almost like 3 weeks full time. Is that a reasonable amount of time, do you think?
150 hours? Yeah. I don't think it's, if you think about it as 150 hours would be 3 people.
1 week.
1 week.
Yeah, that's not enough.
That's how I would look at this. Is say it's how many people? I'd say it's at least 3 people, and it's say I'd say probably double that.
Well, you got. Okay.
Yeah, but we're saying you were using $300 on an hour.
You got information to collect. You got.
Right, and as much information. This is how if you can be economical about this, is to say to them before they even show up, what information do you need?
Yeah.
If they have a survey, give the survey out before they show up.
Right.
They have to sit there and, this is why I always sit in our meeting going, okay, you're asking, something you could have collected this data. So ask for the information up front so that when you show up, you actually hear, one is the meeting is productive, versus just,
Really wished I had that yesterday.
yeah.
Or you have them do a meeting and only half the people show up, right?
Right.
So then they have to come back for a
Yeah,
second.
it's just, it's trying to be,
So you were using $300 an hour and you got 150. So if we use $200 an hour, it's up a little more, right? So, yeah.
I think you're
Maybe
probably
60.
more in the 70,
Yeah.
$65,000, $70,000 range.
Yeah, I think I agree with you.
Yeah.
Should be able
I mean,
to
the key is finding someone that has done a lot of these, right?
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is not I think there's a lot of people that have done a bunch of these for municipalities, and the issue is just making sure that they're efficient about and I think your comment about the staff's time. It's one of the things I find with these things is that people are not respectful of the staff's time, and come prepared. Get your information up front. Don't sit there and.
Like you said, instead of have an electronic survey, right?
Yeah.
And then that way a person can do it during their work hours and not these sit around the conference room table.
How many copy machines do you have? How many of these do you have? How many of those do you have?
Can we talk? So next meeting.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody has their regular other thing. It's August. It must be.
August already?
Yeah.
Oh, I was walking
I know, it'll
around
be-
today saying, I wonder what it'd be like to live somewhere where it's like this all year round.
August.
Well, might not be too far away. That
Yeah, why not?
A little bit.
Yeah,
at least to the fall will be.
the ski seasons are getting shorter and shorter.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. So
So it would be the 20th. That's the third.
no, it's not listed here. Let me go to reports. Hours here. So it's gonna be. June rental. So August 27th is what's on the town website.
August 27th, yeah, last
That's right. That's right before Labor Day weekend.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's No.
I mean, I'm here.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a Wednesday. So if it was a Friday, I'd be like, no.
Friday, 5 o'clock?
Yeah.
Everybody in?
Yeah. So August 27th at 5:30
Yep.
works for everybody. So again, we'll hopefully approve the CIP narrative.
Yep.
And then we'll finalize the outline. So before we adjourn, any new business? Same here. No new business. And so make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, right? I always forget. I don't.
Oh, yeah.
Second. All right. We adjourn. That's at 6:48.
Thank you for
48.
tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.